ॐ विश्वन्दर्पण दृश्यमान नगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तन्तोटकं वातिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। परब्रह्मनिष्ठं स्वतो धर्मनिष्ठम् अहिंसैकनिष्ठं स्वशिष्यै सुजुष्टं यतीनां वरिष्ठं गुरूणां गरिष्ठं दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे। नमः श्री परमार्थाय संसाराध्यासनाशिने श्रोत्रिय ब्रह्मनिष्ठाय तस्मै ब्रह्मविदे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः. I welcome you all to the 20th class of our Bhagavad Gita study. We will read verse number 39 of the second chapter. Esha te bhita sankhye
एषा ते विहिता साङ्ख्ये
buddhir yoge tvimam shrunu
बुद्धिर्योगे त्विमां शृणु
buddhya yukto yaya partha
बुद्ध्या युक्तो यया पार्थ
karma bandham prahasyasi.
कर्मबन्धं प्रहास्यसि.
As we have been seeing, Arjuna has been suffering from the distressing symptoms of shokaha and mohaha, sorrow and confusion. And Bhagavan is administering the treatment for this disease that Arjuna is suffering from, the disease of samsara with the distressing symptoms of shokaha and moha. And this treatment is in the form of Bhagavan's teaching. So Bhagavan says, Esha te abhihita sankhye buddhihi. So sankhye esha buddhihi te abhihita. Meaning that with regards to sankhya, so sankhya means with regards to atma. Sankhya means atma. So with regards to atma, sankhye esha buddhihi te abhihita. One said, I have taught you the buddhihi or jnanam with regards to atma. So from verses 11 to 30 of the second chapter, Bhagavan taught Arjuna this Atma Vidya, Atma Jnanam. And that is why the subject matter of the second chapter is predominantly being Atma Vidya. The second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga, meaning the chapter whose subject matter is Sankhya or Atma. And when we say Atma, it means it is the real I, the real self that Bhagavan talked about. So what is the knowledge that Bhagavan gave? That Atma Vidya is nothing but Vedanta. Bhagavan taught Arjuna the highest Vedanta in these verses from 11 to 30. And therefore, this Vedantic teaching can be condensed in the form of 5 capsules that we have seen, that Swamiji talks about. So who am I? These 5 capsules condense the answer to the question, who am I? I, the Atma, am of the nature of eternal and all-pervading consciousness. I, the Atma, am the only source of permanent peace, security, and happiness. I, the Atma, by my mere presence, enliven this material body and experience the material world outside. And I, the Satyam Atma, am utterly unaffected by any event that happens in this material body or in the material world. Because the body and the world are both mithya. They are in a lower order of reality. And by not knowing my real nature, by not knowing my Atma nature, I convert life into a burden. And by knowing my Atma nature, I convert life into a blessing. So these are the 5 capsules of Vedanta that summarize the Vedantic teaching, which is non-different from the teaching that Bhagavan has given from verses 11 to 30. So the key points here to note is that by not knowing my real nature, by not knowing my Atma nature, I convert life into a burden. That's exactly what happened to Arjuna. Well, Arjuna not knowing his real nature, was experiencing the distressing symptoms, burdensome symptoms of shoka and moha, sorrow and confusion. When I don't know who I am, I invariably mistake myself to be something other than what I am. So I mistake myself to be this deficient, wanting, inadequate, apurnaha body mind, not knowing that I am really the full, complete, limitless, purnaha atma. And once I have mistaken myself to be this deficient body mind, then I start to lean upon the world for my emotional security, for my peace, security, and happiness. I start to emotionally depend upon the world. But the world is unpredictable, uncontrollable, unsustainable. The world will go through ups and downs. That is the nature of the world. And when the world goes through ups and downs, if I am critically dependent upon the world for my peace, security, and happiness, then my mind goes through the emotional roller coaster that we call shokaha and moha, sorrow and confusion. And therefore, the key to ending this distress is to awaken to my real nature. And by awakening to my real nature, I come to know that I am the full, complete, limitless, Purnaha Atma. And therefore, Bhagavan taught Arjuna this Atma Jnanam. And through Arjuna, Bhagavan is teaching us this Atma Jnanam. Bhagavan is teaching us who we really are. Sankhye Esha Buddhihi Te Abhihita, Bhagavan says that I have taught you this. And now this is a transition shloka. This is in the transition period where Bhagavan is now transitioning to the next topic. And what is the next topic? The topic of Karma Yoga. Why is Karma Yoga important? Because this Atma Jnanam can only arise in a mind that has Chitta Shuddhi, that is a pure mind. And Karma Yoga is the way of accomplishing the purity of mind. It is the way of accomplishing this Chitta Shuddhi. And therefore, Bhagavan is going to start teaching Arjuna this Karma Yoga. So the seed for Karma Yoga was given in the prior verse, in the 38th verse. And Bhagavan said, Sukha dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi. So Bhagavan said, Sukha dukhe labha labho jaya jayo same kritva. Same kritva, the same kritva is the key word there. Bhagavan is emphasizing the need for samatvam, the need for regulating my response so that my response has this sameness of mind towards the opposites of sukha, dukkha, labha, alabha, jaya, and ajaya. And why is this samatvam important? So we discussed this in the last class, that there are two reasons at a higher level. The first reason is that any of my existing learning, whatever I have learned in life, whatever important I have learned in life, whether it be material or spiritual, it applies to both equally. That learning can be applied in any given situation only if my mind is emotionally stable. My intellect can be applied properly only if I have emotional stability of the mind. My IQ can be used properly only if I have the adequate EQ, as we discussed. Intellectual quotient is like the first floor of the building for which the foundation is the emotional quotient. And therefore, it is important for me to maintain samatvam in any critical situation, even in an adverse situation, for me to apply my past learning properly. And then the second point is that I will discover the higher truths of life. I can discover the higher truths of life only in a mind that has this samatvam. And what are the examples of these higher truths? So we talked about three of them in the context of Karma Yoga. The first is that the world is not to be blamed for my emotional turmoil, but it is my own dependence upon the world that is to be blamed for my emotional turmoil. This is a key insight that one comes to truly appreciate only if one has samatvam. Then the second point is that only a non-reacting mind is a learning mind which learns the higher truth that the worldly accomplishments, all worldly accomplishments in the domain of arthaha, kamaha, and dharmaha for the sake of arthaha and kamaha, they all have the three doshas, dukkha mishritatvam. There is struggle in acquisition. There is struggle in maintenance. And whatever I acquire in the world, whether it be any relationship, whether it be any object, or whether it be any situation, any favorable situation, whatever is acquired in the world, it is anityaha, and therefore it will come to an end. And when it comes to an end, there is dukkha. And therefore every worldly accomplishment has got dukkha mishritatvam. Then the second dosha is atripti karatvam. Every worldly accomplishment leaves me unfulfilled. Why? Because there is a mixture of dukkha in it. It has dukkha mishritat. And the third point is bandhakatvam. These worldly accomplishments make me more and more dependent upon the world. They don't take me towards independence because my freedom from all of this struggle and strife, all of these distressing symptoms of samsara lies in independence from the world, emotional independence from the world. But these lead me towards dependence upon the world, and therefore bandhakatvam. They make me a slave of the world. So these three doshas also a non-reacting mind, a mind with samatvam learns over time. And then the third higher truth is the truth about myself. This Atma Jnanam also can arise only in a mind that has samatvam. Because if a mind is constantly reacting to the world, then such a mind becomes incapable of shravanam, mananam, and nididhyasam. It is constantly worried about what is going to happen in the world. It is constantly worried about whatever I am depending on, whether something is going to happen to it. And when such a mind is there, that is that is depending upon the world critically, then there will be emotional turmoil, there is worry, anxiety, fear, constant fear in such a mind. And such a mind cannot focus on Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Atma Jnanam is out of question for such a mind. And therefore, Samatvam is extremely important. So we talked about the difference between a materialist's prayer versus the prayer of a spiritual person, the prayer of a karma yogi. A materialist says, I want, hey Bhagavan. So he is pursuing arthaha and kamaha and dharmaha for the sake of arthaha and kamaha. So even if he uses religion, he uses religion for materialism. So his prayers are also materialistic. And so he says, let me accomplish success, let me accomplish victory, let me accomplish profit, let me accomplish pleasure in this world. That is what he prays for. So he prays for loka jayaha. Loka jayaha means success, successful accomplishment in the world, in the form of victory, profit, pleasure, etc. But then the prayer of a karma yogi takes a different turn. The karma yogi says, I am putting in an endeavor for a particular accomplishment. But then, oh Lord, give me the strength. Bhagavan, give me the strength to face whatever be the result. Give me the strength to face whatever be the result with equanimity, with samatvam. And this is because he wants manojayaha and loka, not lokajayaha. So his aim is manojayaha irrespective of the result in the world. And therefore, his priority is manojayaha and not lokajaya. Then one has transitioned from materialism and religious materialism to spirituality. One has shifted the focus of life from outer material growth to inner growth. So this is the difference between the prayers of a materialist and a karma yogi. And this provides this karma yogi the manojayaha, which then is the precursor for jnanam to arise in such a mind. So here Bhagavan says, Yoge tu imam shrunu. The second part of the first line, Yoge tu imam shrunu, meaning that now I listen to this teaching of yoga. On the topic of yoga, with regards to yoga, may you listen, Bhagavan says. And from verse number 39 to verse number 48, Bhagavan talks about karma yoga. And in the second chapter, there is a very brief discussion of karma yoga, and it is elaborated in the third chapter. And Bhagavan then says, Buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. So with this karma yoga, Bhagavan says, karma bandham prahasyasi, you will drop the bondage of karma, which is effectively means that you will attain liberation, Bhagavan says. But then we said we should not take Bhagavan's statement literally here, because Bhagavan is saying that to glorify karma yoga, when we want somebody to take up a particular sadhana, then we talk about the sadhana with glory, so as to encourage, protsahanartham, we say, so as to encourage, uh, so as to make that person take up that particular sadhana. And therefore, this is a glorification of karma yoga. Without karma yoga, one cannot attain moksha. One cannot attain liberation. And therefore, so Bhagavan is saying that through karma yoga you will attain liberation, but we have to add the word indirectly, as we discussed. Meaning through karma yoga, you will attain liberation. It is a true statement. We qualify it saying indirectly, because it gives that preparedness of mind which cannot be attained through any other means. And once the preparedness of mind is there, in such a mind, Dhyanam can take place, which gives liberation. So in the next verse now, Bhagavan continues with the glorification of Karma Yoga. We will read that. Neha bhikramanashosti
नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति
pratyavayo na vidyate
प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते
swalpamapyasya dharmasya
स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य
trayate mahato bhayat.
त्रायते महतो भयात्.
Doing the padachhedaha here. Na iha abhikramanashaha asti pratyavayah na vidyate swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahatah bhayat. So na iha abhikramanashaha asti. So we take the na and asti together initially, because asti is the verb, and the na we always combine with the verb. So Bhagavan says na asti. Bhagavan says it is not there. So what is not there? Abhikramanashaha na asti. Abhikramanashaha na asti. So abhikramaha means effort, venture, project. Any project, any venture, any effort one puts forth is called abhikramaha. And nashaha means destruction. So abhikramanashaha means destruction of effort, destruction of a project, destruction of any venture, like wasted effort, or in other words, failure. So Bhagavan says, for example, Bhagavad Pada gives this example in the Bhashya of farming. So he says, he just indicates that, he doesn't elaborate on it. But he implies that in farming, for example, one plants seeds, tills the field and then plants the seeds, waters the seeds. But finally, either due to too much rain or lack of rain or due to pests, the crops can be eaten. So the entire effort is wasted. That is what is called abhikramanashaha. So Bhagavan is saying abhikramanashaha na asti. Such a failure, loss, wasted effort is not there. Where? Iha means in this karma yoga, in this path to moksha. So he says there is no wasted effort. So we will discuss this more, what Bhagavan means. And then the second point Bhagavan says is na vidyate in the second quarter. Na vidyate means again it is not there. So what is not there? Pratyavayaha na vidyate. Pratyavayaha is not there. So pratyavaya means opposite or adverse result. For example, if somebody has a headache and then one takes a medicine for that headache, and now that medicine causes some kind of an allergic reaction, and not only the headache doesn't go, but it has this adverse effect of a stomachache. So this is what we call an adverse result. You do something and the result is adverse or opposite. So Bhagavan says, Pratyavayaha na vidyate iha, meaning that in this path to moksha or karma yoga, there is no opposite or adverse result also. So how do we say that there is no failure or opposite or adverse result in karma yoga? Because in karma yoga, the karma yogi's aim is not lokajayaha, but it is manojayaha. And therefore, irrespective of the external result, whatever it might be, he always gets this manojaya or inner growth, and therefore it qualifies as success. Success in terms of inner growth, which is the priority. And therefore, Bhagavan says, Neha bhikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate. And then Bhagavan says in the next line, Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate. Bhagavan says trayate. Trayate means it protects. What protects? So Bhagavan says, Swalpam api trayate. Swalpam api trayate. Meaning even very little protects. So then the question is, very little of what? Asya dharmasya. Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate. So asya dharmasya means this karma yoga way of life. This karma yoga way of life, when it is practiced, even a little bit of it protects Bhagavan. And protects from what? Bhayat. The last word of the second line, bhayat, protects from fear. And what kind of fear? Bhagavan qualifies saying, Mahataha bhayat. From great fear, this karma yoga way of life protects one. Even a little bit of it, Bhagavan. So if we go back to the first line, Bhagavan said that there is no such thing called a failure or an adverse result. Vikkamanashaha na asti pratyavayaha na vidyate. So there is no failure, no zero result or adverse result. And like we said, that a person, the world may say that this person lost a lot of money or this person lost his job, etc. But then if you ask that person, so have you failed? He will say that if he is a karma yogi, he would say that yes. From the point of view external world, I don't argue, saying that yes, there has been a loss. But then irrespective of that, I have gained spiritually, I have gained inner growth, I have advanced in terms of manojaya, and therefore there is no loss or adverse result. So I have grown spiritually. That is success. And then in the second part, Bhagavan says, Asya dharmasya swalpam api. So even a little bit of this karma yoga, when it is practiced, we have to add. So asya dharmasya swalpam api anushtanam we can add. Anushtanam of karma yoga is what matters. That is, it has to be put into practice. Unlike Jnana Yoga, we say Jnana Yoga. Jnanam, in Jnana Yoga, Jnanam gives its result just through Jnanam itself. Once you recognize that the snake is not a snake, but it is a rope, that is the end of all that suffering and struggle caused by that snake. Just that Jnanam alone leads to the result of freedom. But in Karma Yoga, that is not the case. Karma Yoga, just understanding Karma Yoga is not enough. This is something that has to be put into practice. And therefore, Swalpam api, even as one starts to practice this Karma Yoga little by little in their lives. So why is Swalpam api said? So unlike, for example, if one is engaging in a karma for material benefit, for example, somebody may be having a certain family problem or something like that. And if he is told that you have to do a certain parihara karma for this, some karma in the form of a parihara, then that is being done for a material reason. That karma is being done for a material reason by that person. That such a problem has to be fixed. Or maybe I have to gain some, I'm not doing well in my career and I need something to advance my career, and there is some japa or some homa that is suggested for that person. So in such a case, when the karma is done for material benefit, then the rules and regulations around it become very important. So it has to be done at the right time. And the mantras have to be chanted properly. Like Swamiji says, that somebody who takes up, for example, Parayanam of Vishnu Sahasranamam, for example, but then he uses the Tamil script for chanting that. So Swamiji says jokingly that in the Tamil script, everything is Advaitam, because ta, tha, da, dha are all Advaitam. Or pa, pha, ba, bha, they are all one. There is no distinction between those. And therefore the pronunciation can suffer. So the mantras, the ucharanam has to be proper, the timing has to be proper. One has to, if the naivedyam is said, then one has to do the proper naivedyam, not half of that or a quarter of it, or drop some things. So for a material karma done for material purpose, all of these things become important. It has to be done completely. Swalpam api asya dharmasya is not enough. Whereas once one says that I'm not doing this for some material benefit, but irrespective of the result, let me get inner growth. That is what is my primary focus. Then one becomes a karma yogi. And for such a person, even if there are omissions in that karma, then also there is partial result is possible. And therefore, even as one takes up karma yoga, even if one takes baby steps towards it, then it gives its benefit, is what Bhagavan is implying here. And mahataha bhayat trayate, meaning it, as one grows, as one gets this inner growth through karma yoga, then one overcomes all fear, the great fear, Bhagavan says, the great fear of samsara, fear of death, fear of rebirth. What kind of rebirth am I going to have? Fear of death, etc. In fact, we can say he overcomes all fear. How? Through the rise of jnana. Because the karma yoga gives a mind that is prepared for jnanam. So through the rise of jnanam, he overcomes all fear. Because he knows that I am the immortal, birthless, and deathless Atma. So now in the next verse, Bhagavan talks about the clarity of vision of an informed spiritual seeker and contrasts it with the lack of clarity of vision of, of somebody who is primarily a materialist or a religious materialist. We'll read the next verse. Vyavasayatmika buddhi
व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः
एकेह कुरु नन्दन
एकेह कुरु नन्दन
बहुशाखा ह्यनन्ताश्च
बहुशाखा ह्यनन्ताश्च
बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम्.
बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम्.
We do the padachhedaha. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi. Buddhihi. Eka iha. So ekeha is there, that has to be split as eka iha. Because buddhihi is three lingam, so we say eka to qualify buddhihi. Eka iha. Guru Nandana. Bahushakhaha hi anantaha. Bahushakhaha hi anantaha cha. Buddhayah avyavasayinam. Buddhayah avyavasayinam. So this is a very, very important verse, an extremely important verse, and something that both Pujya Swamiji as well as Swamiji have emphasized a lot on this verse. And in fact, Swamiji points out that this verse is very loaded. There's a lot that can be said about this, and the entire Bhaja Govindam is an elaboration of this verse. The entire Bhaja Govindam is an elaboration of this particular verse of the Gita. So here Bhagavan is saying that an informed spiritual seeker has clarity with regards to the purpose of life, the priorities of life. That the purpose of life, the priority of life is one, which is Manojayat Dwara Moksha Jayaha. Manojayat Dwara Moksha Jayaha. Meaning that I have to attain moksha through inner growth, inner spiritual growth. And a spiritual seeker has got this clarity, and he also has got clarity about the purpose of the Veda, the purpose of religious and spiritual portions of the Veda. So he knows clearly that the Veda Purva, the first part of the Veda, is meant for Manojayaha or Chitta Shuddhihi through the pursuit of Karma Yoga. So first part of the Veda is for Manojayaha or Chitta Shuddhihi through the pursuit of Karma Yoga. And the second part of the Veda or Vedanta is for Moksha Jayaha, is for attaining Moksha through Jnana Yoga, through the pursuit of Jnana Yoga. So a spiritual seeker has got this, an informed spiritual seeker, not all spiritual seekers. That's why we have to add the adjective informed spiritual seeker has got this clarity. Whereas a materialist does not have this clarity at all. A materialist, we include a religious materialist also there. So let us look at this verse. So Bhagavan says in the second quarter, Kuru Nandana, O descendant of Kurus. O Arjuna, Bhagavan is addressing Arjuna. And Bhagavan says, Buddhihi. So Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi Eka Iha. So there is no verb here. So we supply the verb like Bhavati. So Buddhihi Bhavati, Bhagavan said. Buddhihi Bhavati, meaning vision is. Vision, the buddhi here can be translated as vision, vision or understanding. So vision is, it's an incomplete sentence. Vision is. So we naturally ask, what kind of vision are you talking about? What kind of vision is? So he says, Vyavasayatmika buddhihi bhavati. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi bhavati. So what does Vyavasayatmika mean? So Vyavasaya, the word Vyavasaya, Vyavasayaha means Nishchayaha. Nishchayaha means firm, clear, doubtless, unwavering. Vyavasayaha is Nishchayaha. And Atmika, Atmika means Swabhava, of the nature of. So Vyavasayatmika means Nishchayatmika or Nishchaya Swabhava, means of the nature of firmness, of the nature of clarity, of the nature of doubtlessness, unwavering vision or unwavering understanding. Or in short, we can say clarity of vision. So Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi means clarity of vision. And clarity of vision with regards to what? With regards to goal, with regards to the goals and the means to attain the goal or goals. So what is my goal? What is my goal? So one has to have a clear understanding of what is the goal. And then what are the intermediate stops towards the goal? So what is the goal and what are the intermediate stops towards the goal? And then how to reach each of those intermediate stops and also how to reach the goal. This clarity is called Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. So now what? So Bhagavan is saying, Vyavasayatmika buddhi bhavati, clarity of knowledge, clarity of vision is. So what is it? What? How do you say? Uh, how do you qualify this clarity of vision? So Bhagavan says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi eka bhavati. Eka bhavati. This is the key word here. Eka bhavati. Eka means single pointed, unwavering. Single pointed, unwavering. And Bhagavad Pada uses a beautiful word here um, to explain what eka means. And Bhagavad Pada says badhika, badhika. So eka seems easier to understand than badhika. Badhika means the eliminator of all the other meanderings and distractions of the mind, the eliminator of all the other non-options, the eliminator of all the other incorrect answers in some way. So badhika. So eka, how do you come to that this is the right answer? By elimination of all the other wrong answers. And with regards to what? Vyavasayatmika buddhi eka bhavati. So how do you know this is the goal? How do you know these are the means? And how do you know it with such single pointed and unwavering, doubtlessly, how do you know that? Unwaveringly, how do you know that? So that is eka. Eka means badhika, because everything else has been removed as not candidates for the goals or the means. And with regards to what? With regards to what is this vyavasayatmika buddhi eka? With regards to what are we talking about? Vision with regards to what? Buddhi with regards to what? So Bhagavan says, Iha. Vyavasayatmika buddhi eka iha. So iha means with regards to the spiritual goal, moksha. And with regards to the spiritual path, the path to moksha. So having this clarity of mind with regards to moksha, clarity of vision with regards to moksha as the goal, and also the intermediate stops, intermediate goals in order to reach moksha, and also the means to reach the intermediate goals. So, vyavasayatmika buddhi eka bhavati. So, if you look into this word eka, so this essentially what the sentence means is that the clarity of vision, the clarity of vision of a spiritual seeker, of an informed spiritual seeker, the clarity of vision with regards to moksha is eka, means it is badhika, which means it removes all the incorrect choices. So when the clarity of, so in order to understand this, we can think about it from the point of view of a student who is preparing for an exam and goes to an exam. I mean, in an exam, you're given a question and then some multiple choice format. So you have a question and then A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So many choices are given and you have to pick the right choice. So now consider a student who has very less clarity of the subject matter. So when a person has got very less clarity of the subject matter, then to him all the options look equally possible. He doesn't know that which is the right answer in this. So all of them look equally possible when clarity is less. So because they also set the question paper intelligently, like for example, in a particular paragraph, there might have been a mention of 5 terms. So now they have asked the question, what does this term mean? And they're given all the 5 terms there. So this fellow has read that paragraph, right? In fact, he has not even read that paragraph carefully. He has just skimmed over the chapter. So now even terms in the other paragraph that are unrelated to this paragraph will appear like the right answer to him. So all the choices appear right to him. Whereas now consider a person who has greater clarity, who has looked at this paragraph with some care, but he didn't understand the contents of it. So now he can zero and he can eliminate those other terms appearing in other parts of the chapter. But all these four terms, there is Advaitam in that. All of them appear to be the same. He doesn't know the right answer. So from seven, he has narrowed down to four, but then amongst the four, he is struggling. What is the right answer? But suppose now consider a student who has not only read that chapter, that paragraph, and he has understood the contents of that paragraph. Then they ask this trick question. Even though the four terms appear in the paragraph, he is able to immediately eliminate all the others and identify the right answer. That is why we say that as one grows in clarity, the choices become lesser and lesser in life for a person who grows in clarity. So a mind with clarity is like a river with well-defined banks. So the river knows that it's heading straight and it's heading towards the goal. So the mind is like that. Whereas another river may meander around and do this and that. So a mind without clarity is like this meandering mind. Whereas a mind with clarity, it is focused on what is my goal and what are the means to achieve the goal. And because it has got clarity regarding that. So with a spiritual, now let us come to this clarity of vision of an informed spiritual seeker. So the informed spiritual seeker has got this clarity of vision that my goal is Mano Jayat Dwara Moksha Jaya. This is my goal. So this is very, very clear to him. So when we say Moksha Jaya means attainment of moksha. So through inner growth, Mano Jaya Dwara Moksha Jaya, through inner growth, I have to attain moksha. This is his clarity of vision. So when we say what is moksha means freedom. So now the question is freedom from what? So moksha is freedom from samsara, is endless struggle for purnatvam. So it is the freedom from samsara, this endless struggle for purnatvam. So now this one goal, that moksha is my goal, is very, very clear to him. Now the question is, what is the sadhanam to attain that goal? How do you attain that goal? So moksha is eka sadhana sadhyam, and that sadhanam is jnanam, and jnanam only. That is also very, very clear to him. So why do we say it is jnanam only? Why not some other means like Raja Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga or something else? Why not some other means? Or Arjuna Vishada Yoga may also be a choice for somebody. So why not all of these? So we say that this is where the background understanding is required for an informed spiritual seeker. Why do we say that jnana alone is the sadhana to attain moksha? Because moksha happens to be my very nature. Moksha happens to be already accomplished. And the problem is not that I have to accomplish moksha, but the problem is that I don't know that my moksha is already accomplished. Like the lady with the necklace. Lady with the necklace has got necklace on her neck. But she thinks the necklace is lost, and therefore she embarks on an endless search for the necklace. So now can she find the necklace anywhere? No matter how much she searches everywhere, she can never find the necklace. Her search can end only with the understanding that the necklace, the lady with the necklace that I am seeking to become, I already am. Why? Because when the goal to be accomplished is already accomplished, but my mistaken understanding is that the goal is not accomplished. And the only way to accomplish that goal is to know that it is already accomplished. There is no other way. And therefore, my Purnatvam is already accomplished, being one with Brahman. I, the Atma, am really Brahman. I am Purnaha. My Purnatvam is already accomplished. But due to Ajnanam, due to Atma Ajnanam, I have taken myself to be Apurna. And then I am struggling to become Purnaha, like the lady with the necklace is trying to become the lady with the necklace. I, the Purnaha Atma, that has mistaken myself to be this limited body mind, I am now trying to become Purnaha. So such a search can end only with the knowledge that I am already the Purnaha being that I want to become. And therefore, my seeking can end only with knowledge. Therefore, moksha is eka sadhana sadhyam. This is very clear to an informed spiritual seeker. And therefore, he knows that a mumukshuhu, a seeker of moksha, must become a jigyasuhu, a seeker of jnanam. There is no other way for this seeking for moksha to come to an end. So this is the first part of clarity, the goal and the means to reach the goal. Now, the question becomes, how do I attain the jnanam? So here too, an informed spiritual seeker is very, very clear that jnanam cannot be attained through some mystic means, like just I sit down and meditate, and then suddenly there's some flash and I attain jnanam. So he knows that this jnanam does not arise like that. Jnanam is also eka sadhana sadhyam. So jnanam is an intermediate goal. But then how do I reach that intermediate goal of jnanam? It is also eka sadhana sadhyam, meaning it can be attained only through one means. What does that mean? It requires an appropriate pramanam. And what is the appropriate pramanam? Not my eyes, not my ears, not my tongue, not my skin. Why? Because Atma is not available to any of these Laukika Pramanas. Not Anumanam, not Arthapati. These are all the options we are eliminating in the multiple choice. Pratyaksha is eliminated, Anumana is eliminated, Arthapati is eliminated, Upamana is eliminated. Laukika Shabdas are eliminated. Anupalabdhi is eliminated. All of these are eliminated. This is what we mean by Eka, Adhika. It removes the incorrect options. So he knows that jnanam can be attained only through one pramana, and that pramana is the Shabda Pramana of Vedanta. And therefore, to come to the Shabda Pramana of Vedanta, I have to do Shravanam. And therefore, the Jigyasuhu must become a Shushrushuhu. The seeker of jnanam must become a seeker of Shravanam. So Jnanam is the intermediate goal. How do I attain that intermediate goal? Through Shravanam, where the Shabda Pramana of Vedanta is employed. All right. So now Shravanam and the rise of Jnanam, those are my goals. Okay. So this Jnanam, the rise of Jnanam is my goal. It has to be done through Shravanam. But for Shravanam to work, one has to have certain qualifications, which is what we call Jnana Yogyata. So for the rise of Jnanam, Shravanam is required, but for Shravanam to work, for the Pramana to work, like the cataracted eye cannot see the colors. So if there is any obstacles in my mind, then Shravanam will not do its job. The pramana in Shravanam will not do its job. And therefore the mind has to be free of obstacles. That is what we call Chitta Shuddhi. Or Jnana Yogyata. This Jnana Yogyata has to be there. And therefore for Jnana Yogyata to come, Jnana Yogyata now becomes an intermediate goal. For Jnana Yogyata to come, how do I reach this Jnana Yogyata? That is where Karma Yoga becomes relevant. Karma Yoga is a means to reach this Jnana Yogyata or Chitta Shuddhi. So the entire roadmap is clear that through Karma Yoga I get Jnana Yogyata. And then with this Jnana Yogyata, I employ the pramana by my guru. I go to a guru. My guru implies the pramana during Shravanam. And then that results in the rise of Jnanam. And through Jnanam, I recognize that moksha is my very nature. So this is the entire roadmap, this entire clarity of vision is vyavasayatmika buddhi. So Bhagavan is saying that a karma yogi, an informed karma yogi eventually gains this total clarity about the goal and the entire roadmap to the goal. The karma yogi eventually gains this total clarity. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. But then initially when the person starts off with karma yoga, he does not have this entire clarity. But then he has some clarity to know that moksha is an important goal for me. And therefore, I have to accomplish this. For moksha, he has some understanding that moksha requires jnanam, jnanam requires chitta shuddhi. Although this entire conviction and this entire nischaya about this entire thing may not be fully there, that comes as one grows in karma yoga. But as one starts off with karma yoga, he has some understanding that moksha is an important goal for me. And to attain this moksha, this getting jnanam and for jnanam, this jnana yogyata is an important step. So I have to gain the qualifications. And therefore, in order to attain the qualifications, I have to adopt a life of karma yoga. And therefore, he adopts a life of karma yoga, and through all of these actions, through all of these karmas, his focus shifts from loka jaya to mano jaya. That I am not looking for success or failure particularly. Of course, I am working and my endeavor is towards success. But then whatever be the result, I should be able to accept it with equanimity. And he recognizes that his own raga dveshas are the ones that cause dependence upon the world. Therefore, neutralization of raga dveshas is the goal of karma yoga. He has some understanding of this also. And therefore, he neutralizes the raga dveshas by a two-pronged attack. The first is when he chooses the karmas. His karmas are not driven by his ragas and dveshas, but his karma is based on swadharma. So I do my swadharma irrespective of my ragas and dveshas. If something in my swadharma, if something has to be done by me, even if I don't like it, I do it. Because it is my duty. It is my swadharma. So I'm stepping back from my dvesha there. And similarly, if something should not be done by me, if something is not my swadharma or if something is adharma, then even if I like to do it, I refrain from doing it. So I am stepping back from my raga. Similarly, even if I don't like to do something, I do it, if it is my swadharma. So I am stepping back from my dvesha also. So I am stepping back from my ragas and dveshas. I am creating a distance from it. I don't come under their sway when I choose my action. And similarly, when it comes to the results, the outcomes of the actions, instead of reacting to the outcome, if the outcome is favorable, then jumping up and down, and if the outcome is not favorable, then going into depression. So instead of having such an emotional roller coaster based on the outcome, My response is not determined by my ragas and dveshas. Again, I create a distance from my own ragas and dveshas. So in this way, I gradually release myself from the hold of my ragas and dveshas over time. And this is what we call chitta shuddhi. This is what leads to the jnana yogyata. So this is the vyavasayatmika buddhi of a karma yogi, at least in the initial stages. He knows that my goal is to neutralize my own ragas and dveshas, and therefore I pick my actions according to Swadharma and I regulate my responses with samatvam. He knows this much. This is the vyavasayatmika buddhi of a karma yogi. And eventually, as one leads such a life, he matures in this living, he matures as a karma yogi. And he gradually gets the jnana yogyata. And this makes him ready for moksha jayaha. So he has achieved mano jayaha, and then he becomes ready for moksha jayaha through jnana yoga. He has achieved mano jayaha through karma yoga, and then he is ready for moksha jayaha through jnana yoga. And now he says, Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmanaha nirvedamayat nasti akritah kritena tad vijnanartham sagurumeva bhigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtham. So he goes to a guru. He gains the jnana yogyata. He gains vivekaha, vairagyam, shamadhi shatka sampattihi, mumukshutvam. And he goes to a guru. He does shravanam, mananam, and nididhyasam. And then at that point he gains Atma Jnanam. And as a Jnani also, he has clarity of vision. That is also Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Can be called Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Clarity of vision as a Jnani. That I, the Atma, am Brahman and nothing else. So Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham. Nacha Shrotra Jihve, Nacha Grahana Netre. न चत व्योम भूमिर्न तेजो न वायुः चिदानंद रूपं शिवोहम शिवो. So this is also like a multiple chants. Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. So wherever the na is coming, those are all elimination of the wrong options. And finally, he says the right answer is Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. So this buddhi is also Eka, Badhika. It removes all my misunderstandings and misconceptions about who I am. And therefore, he knows that I am Brahman, I am one, non-dual. I am full, complete, limitless, Purna. That is, his mind is not wavering with regards to this, not meandering with regards to this. And moksha, now his vyavasayatmika buddhi is that I don't have any goal to be achieved also. Because I have achieved whatever has to be achieved. Moksha is no longer a goal for me because I have achieved that. And so this is the growth in the vyavasayatmika buddhi. But at each state, the buddhi is vyavasayatmika. That is to be remembered. So as a karma yogi, he has a certain vyavasayatmika buddhi, and finally as a jnani also, he has a vyavasayatmika buddhi. And now, Bhagavan, having clarified this vyavasayatmika buddhi or clarity of vision of an informed seeker, he now talks about the confusions and notions of one who is not, who remains a materialist or a religious materialist. So Bhagavan says in the second line, Bahushakhaha hi anantaha cha buddhayah avyavasayinam. So here Bhagavan says, here again a verb is missing, so we supply a verb like bhavanti. So Bhagavan says, buddhayaha hi bhavanti, buddhayaha hi bhavanti. So since he's talking about the materialists here, The confused materialist, we can say the buddhaya here refers to the notions and confusions. So Bhagavan says the notions and confusions are. And what are they? Bahushakhaha. Bahushakhaha means they are many branched. Bahu means many, shakha means branches, a branch. So Bahushakhaha is a plural. He said there are many branches for this buddhi. Their buddhi or their vision has got many branches. Bahushakhaha. And what else? Anantaha cha. And they are innumerable. Innumerable. So buddhayaha hi bahushakhaha anantaha cha bhavanti. So whose notions and confusions is Bhagavan talking about here? Avyavasayinam. Avyavasayinam means of those who don't have this clarity that we talked about. We talked about the clear vision of an informed spiritual seeker. These people don't have this clear vision at all. So they don't have this clarity of vision, therefore avyavasayinam. So avyavasayinam buddhayaha bahushakhaha anantaha ja bhavanti is what Bhagavan is saying. And we should remember that confusions and notions are always many. Like we said in the multiple choice question, there's one right answer and the wrong answers are many. Confusions and notions are always many. Even if we take the example of a rope, and in a semi-dark room, you assemble a bunch of people and they cannot clearly see what it is. The right answer is only one, that it is a rope. But the wrong answers are many. Confusions are many if one doesn't really know what it is. Then somebody may say that it is a snake. Somebody may say it's a rattlesnake. Somebody says it's a cobra. Somebody else says it's a grass snake. Somebody else has looked at it very closely, or more closely than these people, and finally comes to the conclusion that it's a crack on the floor. And then somebody else says that it is a mala, garland. So the wrong answers and confusions can be many. There's only one right answer. So similarly, when the clarity is not there with regards to the goal, what the goal of life is, and with regards to what the means to the goal and the intermediate goals are. If the clarity is not there, then everything looks like the right answer. Everything looks like a possibility. Everything looks enticing. Everything looks worthy of pursuit. So when one is not clear that the one and only goal of life is moksha, when this clarity is not there, then the goals appear to be three. When the goal of life is not clear that it is moksha, then the goals of life appear to be three. And what are they? Arthaha, kamaha, and dharmaha, for the sake of artha and kama. So bahushakhaha has come in. Now the goals of life appear to be three branched. So bahushakhaha has come in. And then if we look into each of these, arthaha pursuit. Now I have to pursue arthaha as my goal of life. That is what a materialist says. And even a religious materialist. So if we look into arthaha, again, arthaha itself is also bahushakhaha because there are sub-branches inside arthaha. For example, there is pursuit of wealth, pursuit of security, pursuit of power. So all of these are sub-branches within arthaha. So bahushakhaha, and then the search for wealth can become endless. Why? Just like a lady with a necklace looking for the necklace, there's no end to that search. The search for security can be endless. The search for power can be endless. So anantaha cha, bahushakhaha, anantaha cha. Each of these branches, three branches at the top, each has got sub-branches, multiple sub-branches. And then if we come into kamaha, Kamaha, pursuit. Then again, pursuit of kamaha is bahushakhaha. Inside kamaha itself, there is bahushakhaha, many branched. For example, there is pursuit of entertainment. Movies. What is the latest movie that has been released? When do we book the tickets for that show? Movies. Or cuisine. This restaurant, this latest Egyptian restaurant has opened somewhere nearby. We should go and taste it. Cuisine. Movies, cuisine, tourism. He sees this brochure and he says, now Zanzibar is looking like a good destination. Maybe I should go there. So in terms of tourism, destinations, again, pursuit of arthaha, kamaha is bahushakhaha. And each of these is endless. And then there are subtler pursuits that don't look under kamaha, but come under kama. For example, let us say that there is somebody with good intentions for study of shastras. So the shastras have got some good information. So I want to study the shastras in the original because I am not satisfied with the translations. And therefore he embarks on the study of Sanskrit. And then he soon realizes that for study of Sanskrit he needs Vyakaranam. And therefore now he says Panini is great and wonderful. He has written these wonderful sutras, so I should study Panini Sutras. And then he gets into the study of Panini Sutras. And then he enjoys that pursuit. It is intellectually very, very satisfying and very, very enjoyable. But in this enjoyment now he loses his goal of studying the Shastras, which is a noble goal. He wants to finally come to the Shastras, but he got sidetracked so much into the study of Vyakaranam that the means to the end becomes an end in itself. The means to the goal now becomes the goal. He has forgotten the goal. And therefore now he is Vyakarana. Whole day is doing Vyakarana. That is why that's why we said the shloka, Bhagavad Pada's Bhaja Govindam is an elaboration of the shloka. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudha Mate, Bhagavad Pada says. Mudha Mate means one who is deluded with regards to the priorities and goals of life. Hey Mudha Mate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karane, Bhagavad Pada says. So this at the age of 80 years, this person was memorizing the dhatu patra. So he's under the grip of this pursuit of Vyakarana to such an extent that he has lost sight of the goal. Otherwise, Vyakarana is a noble pursuit. But the pursuit has to be done in balance. It has to be in balance. But Bhagavad is critical of this person who's just focusing only on the means to the end, which itself has become an end, and he has forgotten the end. So Bhagavad reminds him that choose Bhagavan as your goal, choose moksha as your goal, and seek Bhagavan, seek moksha, seek Paramatma, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. And then Bhagavad laments in the Bhaja Govindam that Balas Tavat Krida Sakta. In childhood, the goal is playing and enjoyment with the toys. Krida Sakta. Tarunas Tavat Taruni Sakta. When one is in the youth, then one is engaged, one is attached to the girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, whoever it may be. So Taruni Sakta. Vriddhastavat Chinta Saktaha, and then he has spent his whole life in pursuing Arthaha and Kamaha, and perhaps some dharma for the sake of Arthaha and Kamaha. And now in old age, now he is gripped by worries. Chinta Saktaha. And parame brahmani kopi na saktaha. So he has completely lost track of what the goal of life should be. Param Brahma, Paramatma. He doesn't come to that at all. And dinayaminyau sayam prataha shishira vasantau punarayatah kala kridati gacchatyayuhu tadapi na munchati ashavayuhu. So the days come, the morning, early morning comes. Dinayaminyau sayam prataha. So that turns into midday, that turns into evening, that turns into night. The whole day is gone in what? Pursuit of artha and kama and some dharma, prayer for the materialists' prayer. And then days come and go, months come and go, he says seasons come and go. Shishira vasandau punarayataha kala kridati. The time doesn't stop for anyone. Gachatyayuhu. He's getting older. Tadapi na munchati ashavayuhu. Still he cannot release himself from the grip of this pursuit of artha and kama. They are his predominant pursuits. And bahushakhaha anantaha cha. Each of these artha, kamaha, they are all bahushakhaha and anantaha. And then even if we come to dharma, where dharma is being pursued, for what sake? For the sake of artha and kama. That's what the materialist is doing. So even this is bahushakhaha and anantaha. So somebody says that your grandson or granddaughter, they are having some problems who do this special puja. So he does this special puja for what sake? For the sake of a worldly accomplishment. For the sake of his grandson or granddaughter. He does that special puja not for inner growth. That is not a priority at all. And then somebody else says that he goes to an astrologer and he says that you have to do some pariharam for your son's wedding. And then he gets into that parihara karma. And then suddenly he goes to a gemologist. And the gemologist says that you have to wear these stones. And so you suddenly find him wearing all kinds of rings with different gems on it. And then he's wearing this mala now with all of these gems. And then he goes to the numerologist, and the numerologist says that the reason your son is not doing well in school is because his name has a problem. So his name is Shreyas, for example. So he says add the word K to this letter K to the beginning and make it Shreyas. There is no Sanskrit word called Shreyas. But then he suddenly comes with a letter K in the beginning of his name. And then he has some other problem, and then he consults a Vastu person, and he says that the reason you're losing money is because your commode is not in the right location. And then now he's moving his commode somewhere else. So people get into this kind of a trip. And then suddenly you find that this person is in a yoga camp. And what are you doing there? So he's trying to raise his kundalini. And then one day he shows up suddenly for the Gita class after a 3-month break. And then the next class he is not there. Why? Because he was spotted in the yoga workshop. So, and then suddenly he hears something about Vipassana meditation. Vipassana meditation. Actually, in Sanskritam, it is Vipashyana Dhyanam. Vipassana has become Vipassana. So he does Vipassana there. And then for 1 week, he's eating salad and all of this. And then he says his situation is very difficult. I couldn't handle it. And in Kali Yuga, nothing works. So now he's doing Nama Sankirtana. So Bahushakhaha. And this kind of a thing is just meandering from this to that, with no commitment. No commitment at all. And therefore it is anantaha, bahushakhaha, anantaha cha buddhayaha avyavasayinam. So they have no clarity even when it comes to religious pursuit. What is the purpose of this religious pursuit? So he uses religion for materialism and not for inner growth. So there is no clarity with regards to goal of life, no clarity with regards to intermediate goals of life, no clarity with regards to the means to reach these intermediate goals and the final goals. And when there is no clarity, everything appears to be a goal, and every means appears to be a means to pursue the goal. And therefore, he is pursuing this and that. He has spread himself very, very thin across a lot of pursuits. So, Bhakushakha Anantaha cha. His mind is meandering mind. And such a person will continue to run on the treadmill of samsara. Continue to run. So, for such a person, samsara continues. So, in this verse, Bhagavan has contrasted the clear vision of an informed spiritual seeker, which is unwavering and firm. He knows what the goal is, what the intermediate goals are, and what the means to reach the intermediate goals are, and what the means to reach the final goal are. So he knows all this informed spiritual seeker, and a karma yogi grows into this vision, clarity of vision. Whereas the materialist and the religious materialist who has spread himself so thin across so many pursuits, bahushakhaha anantaha cha, such a person has got endless confusion and notions and no clarity. So we'll continue with this, where Bhagavan criticizes the materialists further in verses 42, 43, 44, etc. We'll take that up in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.